Hello, cozy clan. Let's see if I can get this right. You can see my headband mark. Also, these are amazing. They're like, I'm not selling you. Maybe I'm slightly selling you. Like you sleep with them. I don't sleep with them. My husband does because I don't want to listen to things out loud. But I listen to them pretty much all day, which is probably not the best habit, but I'm not gonna kick that habit just yet because I feel like I'm learning so much through all my different podcasts. And right now I'm listening to the guy who wrote 10% Happier, Dan something. And excuse me. Soon I'm gonna listen to Tara Brock if she has anything. I'm sure she has stuff, but she's kind of like a common theme. I've heard her name a few times now, so she's next on my list. Before we jump into our cards today, I want to talk about 75 Day Hard because I'm being a little bit flexible with it, you guys. And that's not to say I'm giving up at all. But there are some days where I'm gonna count my exercise as a walk. I'm gonna go walk outside for 45 minutes and then I'm gonna go on another walk because I already do that with Theodore. Since we need to get out of the apartment, there's not much space for him to run around. As you saw in my vlog yesterday, he just ends up running on the furniture and scaring me half to death. So we already go on walks multiple times a day, and for now that's gonna count as my workout on the days where I don't have that energy, because to me that's my body telling me that I need to rest. And I think I mentioned as well that I'm doing 96 ounces of water instead of a gallon of water, which I believe is like 120-ish ounces. Yeah. And the thing I'm being flexible on the most, I think, is gonna be if I miss a day, which technically yesterday I did not eat 3 nutritious meals. If I miss a day but still had intention to continue the 75 Day Hard that day and just got busy with my day with whatever it is, I'm still gonna count it as long as the intention was there and I did the majority. Like, I drank most of the water. I ate mostly healthy. I almost did 45 of it, 90 minutes. Maybe I did 80 minutes of exercise. So I'm being a little flexible there. I'm doing that because I want to give myself grace, but I also still want to have a goal. And that goal is the 75 Day Hard. And then before we break these open as well, I wanted to talk about relationship and boundaries. Someone really close to me had texted me, "I'm sad." Very simple. It shouldn't be a big deal, but to me, to wake up and have that be the first thing that I see, which honestly I probably shouldn't have looked at my phone for an hour. That's a habit I intend to start. I have not yet started it because I don't want to get overwhelmed with the amount of habits that I'm changing. Anyways, I had I feel like I needed that to recognize that I do that too. This person tends to talk a lot about the past, and I just don't want to live in the past anymore. They tend to sit in their feelings, or at least express them to me every so often. And she's not the only person, actually. I have a lot of friends that do that. And then it made me realize that I do that. Sometimes I only reach out to friends when I'm like at my lowest low. And that's not what friends are for. That's what a therapist is for. Friends are there to support you, to help you get out of your lowest low, but they're not there to be your only I guess your only expression or outlet, I think is the better word. But it made me realize how I reach out to my best friends when I'm sad. And I think that's how I lost a lot of my friends, is I thought friends were there to just lift you up when you're down. But it's a two-way street. Like, I'm not lifting anyone up when I go and complain. I am allowed to feel the feelings that I'm feeling. My feelings are valid. If I'm sad, that's okay. But that starts on working with me on what I'm sad about. And Tara Brach, mentioned in the book I'm reading, the 10% Happier book, talks about RAIN as an acronym for recognize, accept, investigate, and non-identity, or like not identify with the thought. So we are not our thoughts. It's important to recognize what thoughts are helping us and what thoughts are not so productive. So I'm glad that happened this morning. I set a boundary with that person, and it made me realize that maybe I need to be setting that boundary with more people. But not only do I need to be setting a boundary, and that doesn't mean like not talking to them or anything, that just means making sure our conversations are uplifting versus energy draining. But I'm glad it happened, so that you must know. So that, because I did recognize that was a behavior of my own, and that person wasn't necessarily in the wrong either. In the past, I told her that she could trauma dump on me anytime. But, you know, I think it's okay to trauma dump if it's that kind of relationship that you have, and if it's not reoccurring about the same things over and over and over again. So like for me, that thing is depression and anxiety, both hand in hand, but I think the more serious one here is depression. I would go to certain friends looking for validation in my feelings about not only starving myself as well, where I would go to one specific friend and I'd say, you know, I am having a hard time with my body. I hate myself and I've been starving again, and that's just not right. And I accept that is not who I was. That is what I did with those feelings at that time. But it's not what I'm going to do in the future. Or if I do it, I am hoping that I'm mindful enough to recognize that behavior and be able to heal within without expressing trauma dumping on other people. That being said, I also feel like this is completely different than today was a bad day because I dropped my son. Like, they're just not the same thing. If something bad happens, I think that's okay to be like, yeah, this terrible thing happened to me and I'm just feeling pretty down today, versus I am this. I am depressed. I am anxious. I am not who I want to be. That is not anyone else's job to fix except me. And now it's time to work on me. So let's find out what our cards are today. And I think I'm gonna probably not do these cards for too much longer, because I want to start doing healing things. They do have some healing cards, but I want to have some other content. I have so many other books and things that I want to talk about, and my glow up is not just focusing on the dark things. It's also focusing on the light things and being in the present moment, and these tend to focus on your past, which is totally fine. I think it's important to look into your past to be able to heal that part of you, but I also don't think it's necessary to be able to reach a state of an enlightenment, and I can't wait to get there. That phrase in itself is kind of contradictory, because enlightenment is all about just being happy where you are right now. Life decisions. How has your shadow self influenced your life decisions? It's influenced my health a lot. That's kind of why I run. When I was really insecure about my body, running was the easiest way to lose weight, because you didn't have to have a gym membership. You just had to have a pair of running shoes, go outside, and you have to have the time, I guess, but you don't have to go anywhere. That's shifted quite a bit. My mindset on running is now an outlet for my emotions. It's almost like therapy for me, because when I run, it gives me a chance to really get in my thoughts or get out of my thoughts, depending on what I need at that time. So it's influenced my health, and it's influenced my relationships, because a lot of people in my life see me as a different version of myself, and I'm just not that person anymore. Our next card. I can't get it out. Oh my goodness, I dropped the whole thing. All right, we'll worry about that later. Self-esteem. What is the relationship between your shadow self and your self-esteem? My shadow self dictated my self-esteem for a long time. It told me who I was, and it contributed to a lot of behaviors and thoughts that made me feel really terrible about who I was. Yeah. Communication. How does your shadow self influence your communication style? I feel like my communication has changed a lot, but I'm trying to think about currently. It's people-pleasing behaviors, I would say. I still have those. I still say yes a little bit too much. Grizzly, what are you doing? It's just a hair. Nope, stay. Yeah, communication. I have a bad habit of biting my tongue and not being honest. This morning aside, thinking about this morning, it took me so long to be able to say, other people's problems are not my problems. And I don't want to shut everyone's problems down. That's not what I want to come out of this. I just don't want to emotionally take on anyone else's baggage except my own. All right, that's 3 cards. I also want to talk about me and my anxiety and my son, because I tend to just continuously worry about about everything. I noticed a bump on my son's head, and I'm like 90% sure it's just his skull. Like his, is it Fontella? I don't know, I'm probably saying it wrong. But it's like the middle of his head. It's very symmetrical. And I'm pretty sure I just noticed it because like it's changing. It's forming until they're 2. And I don't know, I just didn't notice it before. So at first I thought maybe it's a bug bite. And it did have like a slightly red tint, but I don't know if that's because I was like trying to move his hair. Anyways, we're gonna go to urgent care today after his nap just to get it checked out, make sure it's not anything left over from the fall. And that's been giving me a lot of anxiety the last few days. But that being said, I've also been able to deal with it. I made the appointment and set it aside. So I get vortexed, I get sucked back into thinking, oh my goodness, I hate myself for letting him fall. And, you know, the ego takes over and it talks about what a terrible mom I am. But then I have been recognizing those thoughts. And in a way, I'm feeling really proud of myself for being able to make an action and then let it go. Make an appointment, let it go. What was the other thing I was going to bring up? This is why I should have notes. I don't know what that is. Some positives that I'd love to reflect on before I let you go today are that me and my new park bestie are just getting closer. I'm learning more about her and her family and her friends and what she likes to do, and they like to travel, and Zach and I have always tried to travel as much as we are capable of with, you know, we did camping for a while until my anxiety took over and said I'm gonna get eaten by a mountain lion. And then we kind of slowed down on camping. But we talked about maybe planning a trip where we all go camping, which would be awesome because I could face those fears. And we'd have buddies to be able to make new experiences with. I'm also not dwelling on my interview. I'm not dwelling on my finances. I do think about them often, but I'm able to set them aside, say, this isn't something I need to worry about right now. This isn't serving me. Because all it's doing is bringing me down when I should be playing with my child or petting my cat or hanging out with my dog. Those things. So I think I'm getting better at labeling, which I attribute to all the wonderful people I'm listening to, but also my balance app. My meditation app has helped me practice labeling and coming back to my breath every now and then, every so often. I come back to my breath, and I should learn more breathing exercises because I just take a deep breath, which is what is serving me right now. But I think that I'm on the upward spiral. For once, I feel really good about where I am, even though big picture things can look pretty bleak. But even bigger picture, things are pretty fabulous. If you, not considering any individual person's life, But considering the earth as a whole, we are in such a better place than we have ever been. We have so many more tools to help us connect with people. We have so many more experiences behind our belt to be able to evaluate things like wars that shouldn't happen. I don't think any war should happen based on our past. But that being said, you can't control people. People make mistakes. People don't know everything. We're all human. We're all growing. And the biggest thing that I am proud of for myself is changing my media. Because I used to get sucked into the TikTok, scrolling for hours, not even realizing where my day went. And it was super unfulfilling. It was so negative because I was on that side of TikTok where you every now and then there'd be like a meditation or someone being optimistic or positive. But usually it wasn't good. Usually it was parents judging other parents. It was people talking about world events that I cannot control, that are out of my hands. And although I think it's important to be aware of what's going on, I don't think we should be sitting on it. I don't think this TikTok bill being passed is going to end the world. We're going to continue to keep pushing on, making changes, abortion being overturned, or Roe versus Wade being overturned. Sucked. But you know what? The fact that it was there in the first place meant so many more women were able to make that decision for themselves for that much time, which is something that just I was reminded of because people were on the street next to where I live with signs about, no abortion and things like that. And that's a soft spot for me for various reasons, but I just think it's important to look at the bigger picture. We are not slaves to kings. We have evolved so much through science and philosophy and spirituality. We are so much better as a whole, so much more accepting, and it's hard to see that when you're submersed in that negative media. So that's what I'm going to leave you with today. Hopefully I can continue to practice being more present and mindful and bring more to this YouTube channel than my constant negativity. Because even though I have my smiling face on 90% of the time, I think a lot of the things that would come out of my mouth were either inauthentic or they were negative. So I'm excited to turn that around to be the best authentic. Don't bark. Yeah, lay down. Yes, good girl. Yes. There you go. All right, Cozy Clan. I'm gonna make my intro this weekend. I know I keep saying I'm gonna do it, but I'm really gonna do it this weekend. And happy early birthday to me. My birthday's tomorrow, and I'm feeling so grateful to be alive today. Peace out.